What's up, y'all? It's your boy Richie Skye. We are back in the building. Y'all know what's up. We got another video coming for you guys. We finally have an update from TAMAR Braxton. We're going to get into that in just a second. Make sure you guys are letting me know where you're watching from in the chatterization. I can see Tracy Chappell got that good text message notification. Let me tell y'all something. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell button because you just don't know when the news is gonna pop off up in here, okay? And if you want to really ensure that you get a notification to that good phone of yours, go ahead and join the texting community right here at 1-202-918-3386. It will be down in the description of this video as well so that you guys can get it as soon as it comes up off the screen. So with that being said, let's go ahead and stage dive into what we gotta talk about. So the good Tamar has decided to speak out. I am so excited that she is doing better, okay? So we're gonna get into what she had to say about the network and them betraying her, and she's literally exposing it all. So let's go ahead and do a little stage dive into exactly what she had to say, okay? So give me 1 second here. Let's pull that up. All right, here we go. So she says, first and foremost, thank you. Thank you to each and every individual who has prayed for me, thought of me, sent me their love, and has showered me with their support in this present moment. It is only my responsibility to be real with myself and to be real with the ones who truly love me and care for my healing. I have without fail shared with you my brightest days, and I know that sharing with you what has been my darkest will be the light for any man or woman who is feeling the same defeat I felt just only a week ago. Every one of us has a desire, whether big or small, to make it out of where we come from to an ideal future place that includes freedom to be who we choose, security for our children and families, and fortune to share with the ones we love. We believe these things can coexist with just being happy. I believe that as a Black woman, as an artist, an influence, a personality, that I could shape my world and with whom I believe to be my partners, they could help share my world. Now, over the past 11 years, there were promises made to protect and portray my story and the authenticity and honesty I gave, okay? I was betrayed, taken advantage of, overworked, and underpaid. I wrote a letter over 2 months ago asking to be free from what I believed was excessive and unfair. I explained in personal detail the demise I was experiencing. My cry for help went totally ignored. However, the demands persisted. It was my spirit and my soul that was tainted the most. There are a few things I count on most to be: a good mother, a good daughter, a good partner, a good sister, and a good person. Who I was begun to mean little to nothing, because it would only be how I was portrayed on TV that would matter. It was witnessing the slow death of the woman I became that discouraged my will to fight. I felt like I was no longer living. I was existing for the purpose of a corporation's gain, ratings, and that killed me. Mental illness is real. We must normalize acknowledging it and stop associating it with shame and humiliation. The pain that I have experienced over the past 11 years has slowly ate away at my spirit and my mental. I will do everything in my power to aid those who, from mental illness, including those of us whose mental illness was only a result from the toxic, systematic bondage that dwells television. It was only God's grace and his mercy on my attempt to end my pain and my life that I am here to utilize my voice. It is only your prayers that have pushed me to rise above my own personal demise, pushed me to not only continue to fight for my freedom of my own thoughts, my mind, and soul, but to also use my voice and experience to be an ally for every Black and brown person who has suffered from the continued exploitation of reality television. Reality TV personalities have no union, no code of protection, no formal representation that protects our labor, our rights, or our voices. They promise us opportunity, but produce exploitation, which has only developed a poor portrayal of Black people in show business. I am learning to grow through my pain instead of looking for an escape. I'm on an irreversible path to healing. I am taking my time. It is of the utmost importance that I find my happy and my health through professional treatment for the sake of my whole heart, Logan, who I forgot in my moment of distress and desperation. And giving this journey my undivided attention. My rise will not be in vain. I will make it my mission to establish the initiative that fights for ethical business practices in reality TV, fights for the ownership of our businesses, promote growth and evolution of our stories, and gives us 100% equity in our freedom. My love for my support system and everyone who chose to love me when I no longer love myself is infinite, and I am forever grateful. I pray you will stand with me and be courageous enough to share your own truth. With love, Tamar Braxton. Wow. Guys, this is a lot. I mean, it's a lot to sort of take in at this point in time. I do want to say I'm super excited that she is bouncing back in such a positive way with this. You know, I'm told that she doesn't have a public relations person. So, oh my God, somebody said exactly how I was feeling right now. As I was getting towards the end, I felt like there was a tear about to come into my eye. Now, I'm hearing that she doesn't have a PR person, so it would seem that this message right here, I mean, was literally from the heart. And to me, I just feel like we just oftentimes have no idea what people are going through and then B, what they're dealing with network contracts. And I think I've mentioned to you guys before that network contracts can be very, very, very tricky. You know what I'm saying? And so it could be a situation where like I said before with the record label, that you have a contract for a certain amount of time and you can only get out of it once you hit certain milestones, once you put out certain albums, or once you put out an amount of seasons of a show or an amount of shows. So to me, it definitely seems to be a situation that goes a lot deeper than I think what we expected initially. It's something interesting here that she says. She says, I was betrayed, taken advantage of, overworked, and underpaid. Okay. So it's interesting to me because I'm wondering, where was the betrayal at? Like, you know, I guess I want to know more in-depth information. And I'm sure a lot of this stuff will come out eventually. I guess what I want to know from you guys is, you know, based on what we've seen right here. This is a good point. Will you guys be watching this show? Give me a yes or a no in the comment section. Well, I guess actually, no, let me not ask that question because I don't want to put anybody on the spot. The better question is, at this point in time, should we TV air this show? Because if it's on TV, we're gonna watch. Okay, that's the bottom line. If it's on the television, we are gonna watch it. Okay. I'm gonna touch on this in 1 second, Vivian. Because at the end of the day, again, if WeTV puts it on TV and we all still stuck in the house and we, you know, for the most part, we're going to be needing some content to watch. And so I feel like a lot of us are going to watch it if it's coming on. I mean, I know I am, because, you know, that's what we do on this channel. That's the job. Okay. Mimi says, I will feel terrible watching. I feel like that. I feel like that too, Mimi. Like I'm going to feel bad about watching it, but I know I am. Okay. I know I am. And now I really want to see it now to see, okay, what really happened. You know what I'm saying? But I want to know from you guys. I'm seeing some people saying that WeTV shouldn't air it. Okay. Now, you know what's Yeah, I agree, Malibu Eyes. It would be nice if they would free her from that contract. It's interesting to me in light of, I told you guys, so many things were happening in the entertainment world this week, all at the same time, specifically yesterday and today. We look at the situation, let's take it back, and just to do a quick comparison, we look at the situation with Kandi, as we spoke about in today's video from earlier, and we see what she is experiencing with Bravo and sort of how she's able to really utilize these shows to her advantage. And she's able to work the system. But it sounds like for someone like Nene and someone like Tamar, they are being worked by the system. And it's interesting to me the difference that two, or I guess three different divergent personalities are having at the moment, right? It's very interesting to see these three ladies in these three different positions with regards to the network. And if you will, in the comment section, in the chat, let me know what you guys feel is the difference with Kandi's situation and with Tamar and Nene's situations. Because Nene and Tamar seem to be going through very, very similar experiences. And interestingly enough, Phaedra Parks has also seemed to find a way to work the system. Two different networks, but we see two totally different experiences. So we have Phaedra on the WeTV side seemingly working the system, but Tamar is being taken advantage of based on what we see here with WeTV. On the Bravo side, we see Kandi seemingly working the system, but yet we see Nene letting us know that the system is working against her. So I just wanted to know, what do you guys think is the biggest difference between these two? And actually, Lakeisha, you are correct. We can also throw in Mariah from Married to Medicine. Someone says, Kandi is business-minded, Miss Song to you, and knows how to mix and mingle with the execs. Wondering Minds, strategy, they can only film what you give them. I can tell you from my own experience in reality television that they can suggest that you do things in terms of like, maybe you should film here or have a conversation with so-and-so, or we got a spot for you guys to go to this restaurant here because you have to get clearances before you can actually film in certain spaces. So those types of things, that was my experience, that they would say, okay, you do this here, but have this conversation. And you guys might want to talk about this topic because it needs to be discussed, right? But other than that, it was me that was coming to the table that was saying, well, these are my events and things that are going on for the next month. So they really kind of had to build in what I wanted to do because those were already my plans. And so I do kind of agree with that statement that they can only film what you give them. You understand what I'm saying? Interesting. Sandra White says Kandi has a husband that knows how to work the system also. And that is also true because we must remember that Todd was a producer on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and he's also worked on other shows. So he has definitely a distinct inroads to working the system within the network as well as with production companies. Tamiria says, Mel from Love in Huntsville said producers say, do you want to go to someone's event? Yes or no? That is true too. For me, from my experience, it was really like they were relying on me to sort of navigate what I wanted to do. And that's seems to be a lot of experience. This is an interesting idea. Shiloh says working the system means going against what's holding us all back. I think that working the system could be a couple of different things. I think working the system could really mean ensuring that whatever work you're doing is beneficial mostly to you and for you. Okay. That's kind of how I look at it. So whether you are working against that system, whether you are working against the network and creating your own thing. So let's take a look at Beyonce. And let's look at Beyonce. Thank you for the super chat. I'm not sure who sent it because I can't see it right now because of the chat. But let's look at Beyonce when she has created Black is King, which comes out tonight, right? Interesting. I saw that earlier, Darnell, when Nene had mentioned that there was a Terry Crews in the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let's look at Beyonce releasing her Black is King. I think one of the things that is interesting about the way, if we look at someone like a Beyonce, in the sense of creating her own content. So let's look at it from that lens, right? We look at Beyonce creating her own content, and we say, okay, she can then say, who's gonna buy this? Who's gonna get the rights to this? And if Disney Plus comes to her and says, oh, we want to pay for it, that is her creating her own product and then pitching it to the networks and seeing who wants it. And I feel like maybe that's the route that I feel like Tamar and both Nene should go in, because Tamar, for my purposes, and we talked about this in another video, I want to hear all of this being put into the album. I want to hear all of this come out in the music. But why not package this album with her own process of healing, wherein she hires the crew, and it doesn't have to be an expensive crew. It doesn't have to be a large crew. And she invites them into her home and into her studio and into her therapy sessions so that she controls the narrative. And then she either places that and says, hey, Netflix, we got a special for you. Or some other network, Hulu, we have a special for you. Or Quibi, we have a special for you. This is how much, who wants to buy the rights to this? Why, to me, that would seem to be the best route for her to go, so that she can take ownership of her life, but also B, her business, and then C, her music. Because I will be honest with you, to me, I've done the Hollywood situation. I understand what that world is, and it's not all glamorous and pretty as you guys. I don't want to say you guys, but I feel like people who don't necessarily live in Hollywood and have to work in it, it's a dark place sometimes. Let me tell y'all, it's a dark place. So coming out of that, well, it can be. Let me just say that it can be. If you work the system correctly, it could be great. But you still have to navigate through that dark space. But then you take it like this. Let's take it back. So for me, it was getting out of Hollywood that I wanted to do. And then I went to work in news, right? So working in news, for me, I felt like, you think in your head, oh, I have arrived. But at the end of the day, you realize, wait, I don't have the freedom that I want. You know what I'm saying? I'm still kind of under lock and key a little bit. So for me, this is why I love YouTube, because at the end of the day with YouTube, what I can do is what I want to do. Okay. I have the freedom to do what I want to do. And it has allowed me to connect with more people who have the same types of thoughts and opinions and viewpoints and obsessions that I have. And I feel like, and some of you sometimes we don't have the same opinions, but we agree to disagree respectfully. And so that's how we maneuver forward. But for me, I feel like Tamar and Nene, they could both do the same thing and really rock this whole independent thing themselves. That's my take on it. That's really my take on it, because freedom really is the key. You know what I'm saying? We talk about wealth a lot of times, and yes, wealth is a big part of it, but sometimes we confuse it's a confused idea that we have of wealth sometimes, wherein when you get so caught up in obtaining, money and it's coming from certain places, like let's look at Nick Cannon. For example, Nick Cannon was another great example of someone who, when he went against the system, they took everything away from him. And so now he has an opportunity here to rebuild and revamp on his own. He's apologized, he's made his amends, and now hopefully if he can't get some of those things back, he can begin to build anew, right? And so when we look at Mariah, when we look at Nick Cannon, when we look at Nene Leakes, when we look at Tamar Braxton, there needs to be some type of universal Black or reality TV or some type of minority television program or entertainment, coalition that comes together and says, listen, why don't we all pull our talents and abilities within what we want to do and maybe take this to own, or maybe take what we want to do to, a network that is, Black owned or minority owned. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm just trying to work through what I feel like. And let me tell y'all something. We sort of, when Monique first came out with her statements, and asking us to boycott Netflix. I mean, I think she took the most extreme route with that, but it was literally, I think, her truth. And she was trying to tell us this is the way the system works behind the scenes sometimes. And so what do? Okay, we can also look at Gabrielle Union. Same situation. So, where do we take our talents, and how do we ensure that we have the freedom to do the things that we love to do and earn the income that we believe that we're worth as entertainers? That's really the question. Okay. That's really the question. But that doesn't just go for entertainers. That also goes across the board to, let's say you're working a 9-to-5. Let's say you have your own, what is it that you really want to do? Owning your own thing is always going to be a good key. That's not to say that I see, for me, it's like, let's work that 9-to-5, and then from 6 to 12, or whenever we can schedule that time in, let's work on building our own thing. Or maybe we just do it on the weekends. That's when we start to build our own little enterprises. And so I don't know. It's interesting to me to kind of see, how this whole situation will shake out. I am uniquely interested in understanding the nature of contracts within the entertainment industry, the nature of contracts with specifically within reality television and the music industry. So for me, this is all very fascinating to sort of hear. But I could go on about this for hours. I promise y'all, I really could. I guess the important thing for us to do now is to sort of watch and see what happens next. What is going to be We TV's take on this situation? What's going to happen next? You know what I'm saying? Because my guess is they're still going to show this. And part of the reason why I feel like they pushed that date is because, and here's the other thing. This is so interesting to me. We always got to look at the timing of things too. Tamar's show was supposed to come out today. Okay. Yet today is the day she is making her statement, right? So given that today is the date that that the show was supposed to premiere, WeTV pushed it back to September, 10th, I think. So we look at the timing, right? The timing is interesting that she chose today to speak out about it, which is, I mean, it's brilliant marketing wise. But we also look at the idea that WeTV has spaced this out until September. The thing about it is interesting. The other thing that we need to look at is this. By September 10th, for a lot of people, this story will be old news. Now, for the person and the family who is involved and the friends who are going through the day-to-day, it's still going to be going on because that's her journey that she has to go on. So she'll still be in it. But by the time that this show premieres, there will be some other really big news story, some other big crazy thing that we're all talking about. And so it'll be interesting to see at that point in time if WeTV is still going to air this program. And I'm almost guaranteeing that they probably will. Okay. Leslie N says Mona Scott Young seems to have the power to start a network that can air new Black content from like Tamar. But the problem is Mona is a part of the show that Tamar is on. And according to the news outlets, and this is just the news outlets, it was Mona Scott that Tamar wasn't really too pleased about with being involved in it, especially with regards to the way that some of those reality stars talk about Mona Scott Young. So, I don't know. I really don't know. Someone, Darnell says, will we care by then? That's a valid question. Will people still be on this wave? And I'm gonna tell you the truth. We still gonna be on this wave because, us in this collective and in this community, we're gonna keep our eyes open. We're gonna still watch and see what happens. We're gonna talk about it because we know that talking through the issues is the way to work through them. And so we'll just continue to watch and see what happens. But I had to bring this to you guys. It was a big update. Thank you, G listed. It says, I love Tamar, but do sympathize for her business-wise. Do not sympathize with her business-wise. She's been in the industry for 20 plus years and can get advice from Tony. The interesting thing about this whole situation is, I think it's, you can be in business for a very long time and still not have the best guidance. We look at the fact that, allegedly there were some things that were going on with, Vince and him and the record label, and those things kind of not working out. So it could have been that she was set up to fail by, in some type of business dealings with Vince. And so now she's paying the price and the consequences of what was done back then when she was married to him. You just don't know. So we can't really, it's hard to say that. And it's hard to say that, oh, just because you've been in business for 20 years, that something bad won't happen to you while you are in business. That's a fallacy. You know what I'm saying? America has been around for how long, but that hasn't stopped us from experiencing the things that we are experiencing right now, with this current pandemic. So, for me, stuff happens. Stuff happens. I'll thank you different times. So anyway, I just wanted to bring this to you guys. Listen, we'll continue to talk more about this. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell button so that you can keep it locked onto all the new content that we're dropping. Join the texting community if you haven't already done so. I mean, this is a good way for you guys to get a text message update as soon as I drop a new video. I try to keep it to just, sending out, text messages when I'm dropping a new video or when, I just want to send you guys a random thought, just to say, thank you for, walking with me through this journey and being in the community. If some more news drops, we'll be back on this channel with more information and we'll talk about it some more. But for right now, I will see you guys in the next video. Love you guys.